testing among men who have sex with other men has increased dramatically. This is the case in both urban and rural areas in South Africa. It's improved due to efforts by organizations such as Right to Care's Me First campaign. Joining us this morning is Right to Care's Andrew Letole. He's a campaign manager for the MSM marketing coordinator at Right to Care. Andrew, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for your time this morning. So tell us more about what you found in terms of men who have sex with men and what we're seeing when it comes to HIV testing and infections.
So what we have found is that we first initially had to see what the barriers for the MSM community were in accessing services. And that was largely around stigma and discrimination when accessing services in the healthcare sector. And once we came back to the drawing board, after discussing it with them at large, we then devised a campaign which would address some of these challenges, referring them to our partners, implementation partners, who have MSM-specific services, as well as sensitized centers and facilities throughout the country for them to access HIV testing, screening, TB, and as well as STIs and treatment as well.
Okay, so they did not want to be known or seen as men who have sex with other men, which is what I'm gathering is the main reason they never went in for testing, because you'd have to answer certain questions. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. So they would be mistreated. If one was to disclose their sexuality, a person would then respond in such a way that would not be comfortable for them to want to come back or to engage. And that would be now, feedback to the rest of the community that this is what is happening when one is accessing services. So at large, what would happen is that most of them would then try to stay away. So with the Me First campaign is that we are taking the services to the communities. We're taking them to the rural, to the urban areas to try and engage with the clients to see how best they can access services without being discriminated and stigmatized.
Andrew, just before we continue talking about how you're helping them, I think let's just clarify, when we talk about men who have sex with men, we're not necessarily talking about homosexuals. We're not talking about gay people necessarily. Am I right? This could be men who on another day would have a woman as a sexual partner as well.
Correct. So the MSM spectrum is rather broad.
Yeah.
You have gay men who have sex with who are MSM. You would have the bisexual men who are MSM, and you'd still have the heterosexual men who just engages in the sexual practice. So MSM, men having sex with men, is not necessarily an identity. It is just a sexual practice. So it's when one sees the opportunity to engage in a sexual act that it usually takes place.
So when we talk about the dramatic increase in HIV tests among men who have sex with men, what about the female partners that might also, be exposed? What are the sort of, checks and balances for them as well? Does that fall under your program? Do they fall under your program at all? Or what do you say to these men about considerations for women in their lives?
Okay, so what the first thing is to address the way that they would then engage from that point. So if they're positive, they would then need to go on to treatment. If they're negative, they would need to start taking measures to stay negative as well, by either going on to PrEP or to use condoms. And of course, one of the other measures would be to encourage their sexual partners to get tested as well.
Okay, so when we talk about men who have sex with men, are you finding that a lot of them are actually being honest with their other partners?
Now, that is a pretty tricky one, because now men who have sex with men, it's not easy for them to come out and say to their female partner that I am having sex with men, because now this is something which is done in the dark. This is something which done...
It's a secret.
It's a secret. So it's not easy, and we're not trying to shed light on the sexual practice or anybody's sexuality.
But they do have a responsibility.
But they have the responsibility to ensure that whomever they're having sex with is also well taken care of.
So is that something that's still a challenge for you to address within this forum?
So it is a challenge, but then we try our best to communicate it through so that they don't in any way steer away from the responsibilities
Okay.
which they also need to undertake.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about what it is you actually do, how you actually help these men live a healthy life, I suppose. What are the services that you're offering, and where do they get in touch with you?
Okay, so we have HIV testing, as well as access to treatment. We would then refer you to your nearest facility for you to get treatment. We also have STI screenings, as well as TB screenings. And you would also be referred for treatment accordingly if you're screened positive for any of these. And we have a very strong digital presence where we have a platform for men to engage with us on our website, which is www.mefirst.co.za, where we actually have anonymous chats with some of these men, so they don't have to disclose who they are.
Identities.
And we also have a WhatsApp platform, which is 072-637-6212, where they can also chat with us on any challenges or
advice.
any way that they would want to get services, or anything.
So they are
as a matter of
guaranteed
fact.
that there will be no discrimination if they get in touch with you for some help and say, this is what I think is going on with me. And
Correct. And we also still have, like I said, some road shows. We go out in the communities for community engagements, where we deliver the testing straight to the community within those regions.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thanks for your time, and I wish you all the luck with this. And it's great that you are honing in on a particular part and trying to do your best there. That's Andrew Letole. He is from Right to Care. He's the MSM, that's Men Who Have Sex with Men, the marketing coordinator at the organization.